Hello everyone, and now welcome to game number 3 in this series between Hopestar and Colorful. This time around, we can see that I believe Colorful actually is down 2-0 in this series. Gonna go ahead and speed things up, get this up into 8 times speed, as we've been seeing most likely Warden versus Death Knight in the opening moments. It looks like it will be a little bit of a delay. No, actually not a delayed Death Knight this time around. Gets the Tomb of Relics down, and is also going to be wandering around selling the Scroll of Town Portal for a Rod of Necromancy. Ancient of War, it looks as though Colorful is going to have a very, very easy opening this time around. Picking up a Slippers of Agility, which is a rather nice item for this Warden, as the Warden does get that +3 attack. Now, where is this Warden actually hoping to go to? That is the million-dollar question right now, as the Ancient of War... What's going on here? Archer needs to actually finish off this Sea Turtle Hatchling. Not quite sure what's going on there. As you can now see that the Warden is now making its way in. Are we going to perhaps get a Shadow Strike on any low hit point units? The Death Knight does have Death Coil, so it should make it very, very easy. Alright, let's take a look back over here. Death Knight now shooing away that Warden. The Death Knight does pick up Dust of Appearance. Not quite sure what item he had earlier, but it looks like it was sold, as the Warden is still just hoping to get a little bit of free experience at this point. Things are not looking all that good. The Death Knight does not have Death Coil. You remember, he did pick up Unholy Aura first, and he's now doing a little bit of exchanging there. A beautiful detonation to finish off 3 skeletal minions. Meanwhile, back over here is 1 skeletal minion attempting to take down an Entangled Gold Mine, which will never go down. Now, this Warden needs to play a little bit, is actually playing a much more aggressive style than what we've seen in the previous games. The Death Knight does have the faster movement speed, but that also means that his mana is pretty useless right now. Yes, he's able to surround and perhaps chase down the Warden, as the ghouls are now running off to easily creep out this creep camp here. One ghoul may actually get taken down if he's not careful. Yes, it does get taken down, so a little bit of micro mismanagement there, as I believe the Skeletal Warrior, nope, is going to fall at the hands of an Archer, giving the Warden just that much more experience. The Warden's still shy from level 2 and hasn't really used enough Shadow Strikes as of yet. The Skeletal Minions, however, are just constantly giving free experience so far, and if the Warden gets another easy kill right there, yes, that Warden is just inching closer to level 2, and it's really because the Death Knight has been giving experience. This is not what Hopestar is really hoping to do at this point, as Colorful is running around and also has at level 1 Warden, which should get to level 2 here in just a moment. The Archers gonna easily clear this creep camp out. Gonna go ahead and take it down right there. Claws of Attack +6, a nice item if the Warden decides to pick it up. There we go, +9 attack. That is about a 20% increase in damage, as the Skeletal Minions now come rushing on in. The Death Knight may try to get off a Death Coil on one of these unsuspecting units, but no, they are all able to back up just in time. Alright, Archers finishing up that last skeletal minion. Death Knight finishing up that creep camp. Circlet of Nobility, Dust of Appearance, some very nice items here, as the Death Knight gonna go ahead and finish off, nope, gets a detonation for all of that effort, as the Warden is attempting to chase down a handful of ghouls. That is not going to work out all too well. Meanwhile, you can take a look at the Skeletal Minion here. It's going to most likely aggro creeps. The Warden wants to buy something, but is not able to do so, as the Warden now trying to get in front of all of this army. Here you are, let's take a look at this Warden. Is it going to be able to finish off any of these units? The Warden does have plenty of mana, unable to really engage against the number of ghouls that we're looking at, and there are no Archers really following up to pelt down a lot more damage. Let's take a look. Warden now coming back in from the far side. We are going to be looking at perhaps at a Shadow Strike. Oh, a Shadow Strike onto a ghoul. The ghoul, however, quickly healed. Archer now in trouble, as it is going to get focused down rather easily. Death Knight still doing a bit of chasing. Warden able to swing through here, getting a Shadow Strike onto a low hit point ghoul, only to get Death Coiled and healed back up. Not quite sure who got the experience there. It looks like the creeps got the final killing blow, and Hopestar is just absolutely ruining Colorful's day. Hopestar is having a really easy time right now. Level 2 on that Death Knight, almost level 3. Needs to get in a little bit more damage to get to level 3. I don't believe it. Well, a Death Coil should do it now. Yes, it does. Level 3 now on that Death Knight. And now that Warden has to be very careful. The Death Knight, would have been able to get a Death Coil off onto that Warden for the kill. The Warden quickly decides to blink back next to the Moonwells and heal up fully. This is going to give a window of opportunity for that Death Knight to, however, creep out a difficult creep camp. And if he goes after this orange creep camp here, I would say that's a little bit of a waste. He could go after a much higher creep camp, since this creep camp only has 2 level 2 forest trolls left. Perhaps going after this creep camp here, or even this creep camp, or this creep camp, would have made a lot more sense, as the forest troll does get taken down. Alright, Death Knight now makes a bit of a play back over. Staff of Preservation has been picked up. Death Knight wants to do a bit of damage, as we now see Dryads being added. Death Knight quickly gets a Death Coil off onto an unsuspecting Ogre Warrior. There's a bit of that creep steal again. Are we going to see it again? And no, not again, as the Warden is able to get a little bit damage this time off. Alright, let's take a look. Are we going to perhaps get Boots of Speed? Warden does not pick up Boots of Speed, just walks to the shop and walks back, suffering unnecessary damage. Crypt Fiends now being added, as well as a Lich is here, and we also saw those ghouls now heading back home. Alright, that Warden having a little bit of a bad day, now heading back, perhaps gonna use, yes, that Potion of Healing, and now try to engage as an unnecessary Shadow Strike on a very full hit point Lich, which isn't going to amount to much damage, as a Frost Nova also lands on the Warden once more. We should be taking the tier 2 here. Oh, we are already at tier 3. Do we have mastery training? I'm not 100% sure about that yet. The bears are still at adept, as the Warden now makes his way in. Alright, Warden comes in, steals the item, and now has a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability as well. Is it going to be able to finish off perhaps this Lich? Lich is rather low on hit points, uses a Potion of Healing. Shadow Strike goes down. Death Knight now has 75 mana. We should be seeing a Death Coil come in here momentarily. Yes, we are, as the Lich now able to turn back around. Alright, Druid of the Claw, Rejuvenation now back onto that Warden. The Warden is now turning into a one-woman wrecking machine, able to deal so much damage. Potion of Invulnerability now being transferred, as the Obsidian Statue may end up falling. Alright, one more shot onto that Obsidian Statue, and yes, it does go down. Warden looking to finish off the Lich, unable to do so. The Dryad Spear more than enough, as the Warden sitting at level 3, looking extremely pleased with herself. Alright, coming back around, Hopestar has this Watcher Ward here, keeping track of everything. Meanwhile, the Warden gonna finish up this creep camp, as the Death Knight now heads off to the top right-hand side of the map. A very high-level creep camp for that, for Hopestar at this point. Should be very easy to take down, as the Lich now absorbing a bit more damage than I would like to see. Obsidian statues are nowhere really near, nowhere to be found at this point, so this Lich could get sniped extremely quickly. That Lich is already down to 87 hit points, and we are seeing a Ring of Regeneration being left behind. Death Knight finally leaves, or gets the Death Coil off, as we are now looking at perhaps a Ring of Regeneration, perhaps given, no, most likely sold at this point. No, it looks like he's gonna keep it. Alright, I like Rings of Regeneration. They do heal a lot of damage, especially the longer a game goes, and it really adds another aspect as you're trying to take down a unit that is just constantly regenerating so many hit points. You can see that that Lich is at the receiving end of a lot of damage, but is still gonna be fine. And in about a full minute or so, it is going to be pretty much, in a full minute, it will pretty much be back up to 500 hit points. And at 500 hit points, that is just almost like a Death Coil that could be saved at this point. Rejuvenation on the Warden absorbing a whole bunch of damage. Bears are in position. There are a couple of Dryads as well. I don't see enough Destroyers to really handle this, as the Warden going after the Ogre Lord. Very easy play there, as we now see Cloak of Flames on the Warden. The Warden doing an impersonation of the Demon Hunter, just burning everything around him, or around her, burninating the countryside, so to speak, as the Warden is perhaps going to do a bit of a big play there. No, decides to sell the Wand of Mana Stealing and also sell the Cloak of Flames. All right, Colorful now getting pressured. This Moonwell, which is currently at max, going to get taken down. That is a very big deal. That is a lot of hit points that could have been regenerated. All right, where are the rest of the units? The Dryad taking way too much damage. No, was able to save herself as the Warden now comes into position. The Warden does have a Tome of Retraining, and what is she going to retrain to? Is it going to be Fan of Knives? That is the big question. I'm not quite sure what the Warden needed a Tome of Retraining for, as Shadow Strike is still rather strong. But I guess against this many ghouls, the Fan of Knives could really just destroy that army very, very quickly. Warden also picking up a Potion of Mana. If it gets to level 6, that is pretty much instantaneous Avatar of Vengeance, and that is very difficult to take out for the Undead army. Well, one-woman army, so to speak, able to turn the graveyard the graveyard skeletons into Avatar or Spirits of Vengeances, which does become a bit of a problem. All right, Potion of Greater Healing has been picked up. Death Knight has a Potion of Greater Healing and a Ring of Regeneration. Very strong items on the Death Knight and the Lich. Meanwhile, the Warden has only a 1-level advantage on the Death Knight, while the Death Knight has a level 3 partner in crime. All right, Destroyers are up in the air. The Destroyer does have a bit of mana right now, and we'll see what comes of this. Down to 372 mana. Moonwells are quickly going to get taken down here. A lot of damage to be had already, as the units are now looking to fly all the way back. The Wisp now pulling back away. Moonwell taking more damage again, as we now see an absorbing mana, and there are a whole bunch of bears. The Dryad's not going to be enough. Warden needs to get in position. There is the Fan of Knives, and was it enough? Bears are going to be falling left and right, and this Warden is just not going to have a good day. 3 bears. Potion of Invulnerability now being used. 3 bears looking to finish off the rest of the ground units. However, there are a lot of Dryads. 5 Dryads that I did not notice earlier. As you can see, the Destroyers are going down, but so are the bears. I'm not quite sure who has the upper hand in this fight, as the supply count is 44/60 compared to 51/70. All right, Warden needs to heal back up once more. Has a rejuvenation. Druid of the Claw getting rejuvenation as well. Dryads, plenty of them, as the Warden, if she can snipe down a couple of units, that would be an extremely big deal, but that is a very big if at this point. Low hit point ghouls all running back. Warden about 243 hit or experience away from level 6, and if she does get to level 6, perhaps taking down these ghouls down over here, that would be a game-changing play. All right, does she spot the ghouls? Oh, there's a Fan of Knives going after one Acolyte. Is it going to be able to go after another? Another Acolyte is already running back. No gold being harvested or collected at all at this point, as the Warden just sits here and says, you know what? Oh, another Fan of Knives takes down another unit. The Warden is actually in a little bit of trouble, though. Now needs to teleport back and is now fighting straight up. Oh, Moonwells quickly in trouble, draining all of those Moonwells. Now in the back, Dryads are in position. Perhaps the Dryad should be going after the Destroyers. The Destroyers, however, not having anything not having anything to worry about, as the bears are in the backfield. The bears are just in the wrong spot, unable to fight, and this is one of those bad situations, as the Warden is still trying to figure out where exactly she can go. The bears need to get in position. The bears are not in the front line as you would normally want them to be, as a Dark Ranger is right there. All right, we are looking at a very large fight here. What's going on? Destroyer now being pulled up against. Ancient of Lore is uprooted, joining in on the fight as well. No drawing 2 cards, as a bear now going to go ahead and get taken down. Warden now sitting at level 6. As Spirit of Vengeance now quickly in play, and with the Spirit of Vengeance, things do quickly turn around, as the Dark Ranger now has nowhere to go. Warden still has plenty of mana. Fan of Knives, and gets even more damage across once again. Are the Dryads going to be able to catch up to some of these units? All right, one Dryad does get focused down, as the Spirit of Vengeance now going to try to engage against some of these units. All right, Bear taking a lot of damage. Dryads coming in, Staff of Preservation saving a Bear, as this is a crazy fight going on down now. All right, Warden taking a lot of damage still. Bear going to get taken down there. For some reason, that bear, who was low on hit points, was still trying to engage. Not a very good idea at all, as the Warden sitting at level 6, gets another Fan of Knives off. So far, that Burrowed Crypt Fiend has absorbed a whole bunch of Fan of Knives, but is still alive, as we're still looking at a very, very strong push through. All right, Avatar of Vengeance still chasing. Spirit of Vengeance is not chasing at all, as we're looking at, I believe, all 3 heroes for Undead did manage to stay alive, as the Dryads and the rest of the units are still doing a bit of a push. Down over here, one Ghoul makes sure that there is no expansion coming into play. With Death Knight, Lich, and Dark Ranger coming back over, we can see the Dark Ranger sitting at level 2 with that silence. It's going to be very important to try and slow down that Warden, as that Warden with Blink and Fan of Knives was really able to deal more damage than you expected. Those Crypt Fiends didn't stand much of a chance after taking 2 Fan of Knives, let alone 3. And then once the Crypt Fiends were gone, those Dryads were pretty much completely unhindered to do their dirty work of taking down destroyers. Yes, a lot of bears were lost, a lot of Crypt Fiends were lost, but at the same time, it looks like Colorful is recovering rather nicely, even though he is behind in terms of supply, only by 2 though. Death Knight is sitting at level 5. You can see a Frost Nova quickly on that Warden, and level 5 Death Knight is pretty much as good as it gets. Once you get to level 5, all of the extra levels are pretty much icing. The ultimate ability of the Death Knight, not necessarily that great, and that's really why you have more heroes as an Undead player. You know that Death Knight not going to really benefit anymore by getting to level 6, as the Lich getting to level 5 and the Dark Ranger at level 5 is actually a very, very potent threat, much more dangerous than, say, a level 6 Warden by her, or even a level 7 Warden by herself. The question will be, will the Lich and that Dark Ranger get to a high enough level, as we're now looking at, a poor Ghoul walks into a whole bunch of Dryads, and that Ghoul will end up getting slowly poisoned to death with those spears. Coming back around, that Warden needs to get a rejuvenation. Not quite sure why the bears are just watching her. There is that rejuvenation now. That Warden may get to level 7. And at level 7, she is going to be an absolute blinking machine, able to blink off to the north rather quickly. And that Warden is looking for some just free experience, not knowing that there's a Burrowed Crypt Fiend right there. That Burrowed Crypt Fiend just sitting in the right spot, gonna unburrow itself in just a moment, as the Warden picks up perhaps a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability, and nope, no Scroll of Healing. Alright, Dark Ranger, Lich, Death Knight, all ready to go. There is that Burrowed Crypt Fiend, unburrowed now, ready to engage against that Ancient of Lore. The Warden now ready to just push on in here. Is that Warden gonna blink inside? Yes, there is the Fan of Knives. Level 7 now on the Warden, as the Warden is able to easily get some damage off onto these units. Alright, going after the Acolytes. Is it going to see a Fan of Knives? Takes down another 2 Acolytes, as the Warden now needs to teleport back home in order to lead the army. Alright, we may see a rejuvenation onto the Warden. No rejuvenation. That is a bit of a surprise, as we are now looking at the Destroyers just destroying this base. In comes the Spirit of Vengeance. Bears getting in position. The Bears need to be in the front line. Where did the Warden go? Why did the Warden blink up north? Well, the Warden blinked because she could, I guess. Now also using a Clarity Potion. Bears and Dryads now all getting into position here. Death Knight still sitting at level 5. Level 4 Lich. Level 3 Dark Ranger, as they are now going to creep out an orange creep camp. It looks like it may go undetected by Colorful. Colorful not knowing where his opponent is. And this makes a lot of sense, as Colorful would not normally be going up here, as there's really no reason. There's a Fan of Knives, and there is a whole bunch of silence, as the Warden has taken a bunch of damage. Now, what's going to be happening here, as the Spirit of Vengeance is in play, the Bears suffering a lot of damage, and the Dryads could really start poking their way through. Alright, Destroyers now getting called up into the air. Abomination going to get taken down. Warden going to get up to get about to halfway to level 8 now, as we're going to see a Staff of Preservation. Yes, we do, just in time to save the unit. Alright, that bear not so lucky, as another Fan of Knives goes down. Dryads now looking to finish off the rest of the Crypt Fiends. Bears looking to finish off the Crypt Fiends as well, as the Dryads are now going to go after those Destroyers, as they are pretty much the only thing that can really do damage. Bear after bear, however, taking a lot more damage, and this is where Shadow Strike would perhaps be the better ability. Phantom Knives does not hit destroyers at all, and there's not nearly as many ground units as there was moments ago. Meanwhile, we can see another destroyer has been taken down. Phantom Knives going after the units there. The Warden still trying to give chase here. Are we going to see another Staff of Preservation? And this is perhaps the best I've seen Colorful play in quite some time. Warden now gets up to level 8. Level 8 Warden against the rest of the heroes here. There's a Phantom Knives going after that Death Knight. The Death Knight could be taking a lot of damage, but the Death Knight does back away in time as the Warden does not want to chase all that much, knowing that the Death Knight does have a potion of mana and can easily Death Coil that Warden as well. All right, let's go back home. Let's see what's going to be happening next. There is a Tree of Life down over here, but it's going to take some time to entangle that gold mine. Death Knight now heads off to the north, needs to creep out this creep camp, but there's not much of an army behind him. So the Death Knight will be forced to stick around this fight, even though it doesn't want to. It is stealing some experience, but not that big of a deal, I guess, as it is more important to actually clear this creep camp out in a very timely manner. Lich now sitting at level 5 as well. There is a rune of healing now coming into play, as it is going to heal up the rest of the ground units again. Lich sitting at level 5, Dark Ranger at 4, Death Knight at 5. Gonna go ahead and clear all of this out here, as my family is coming home, so I got about 3 more minutes on this play anyways. Let's go ahead and take a look. Death Knight, Dark Ranger, and Lich. Sorry for the spoiler if you guys did not know. We are still looking to see what the Warden is doing. The Warden quickly goes in and goes after a couple more Acolytes. It looks like 1 Acolyte, 2 Acolytes are going to go down. Another Acolyte gets Shadow Strike, as the Warden going to go after another Acolyte again. Yes, takes down another Acolyte once more. No more gold coming in from Hopestar at all, as Colorful is hoping to set up an entangled gold mine over here on the bottom left. Is it going to be able to jump inside? It doesn't look like it. There is one very low hit point bear trying to hide in the corner, and if it is not spotted, that would actually be really, really dangerous, as now you can see the Warden, Staff of Preservations, that poor bear. It is going to get rejuvenated. What is happening now? Where is that Warden? I'm not sure, as the Tree of Life... Oh, Frost Nova, what was that about? I'm trying to perhaps take down some of those Wisp. Lich is sitting at level 5. Dark Ranger still sitting at level 4. And it may be a 5-5-4 who wins out against a level 8 Warden. Tree of Eternity doing the slow walk to try and set up another base. Meanwhile, Undead does not have... Daddy's working. Undead does not have any... any gold mines operational. You can see that over here just now training up an Acolyte. So far, the Dark Ranger, Death Knight, Destroyers, and the armies, the army of the Undead sitting at 40 over 70 compared to 32 over 70, as we now see another fight here. Can the Warden finish things off? Get a couple of quick kills. Quick Frost Nova, Death Coil, Anti-Magic Shell now coming in. Bear now in a little bit of trouble, taking a lot of damage. We should see a Staff of Preservation. Yes, there it goes. A little bit premature, as this bear is going to end up going to get taken down now, as it is on the receiving end. Death Coil on another bear, as the Tree of Eternity was right there. And this is probably going to be the end. With those bears gone, all of those units are going to go down. Warden now going to try and run back away, as the Death Knight may be able to finish off this Tree of Eternity. Once this Tree of Eternity goes down, it is going to be standing army versus standing army, and the standing army of Night Elf just not high enough. All right, Tree of Eternity gonna end up taking a little bit more damage here, and I do expect the GG. Staff of Preservation, or Staff of Teleportation coming in. Warden trying to finish off a couple more units, does do so, as the Warden now trying to escape again. All right, more Spirit of Vengeance is just dealing a lot of damage, but is it gonna be enough damage? That is the question, as the Tree of Eternity does end up falling. All right, Warden finally falls at level 8, and with that, there is all the hope. Colorful losing this best of 5 series 3-0. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.